In this video, we consider the advantages of an enterprise-wide approach to risk management. Every organization faces risk, and every organization manages risk in some way or another. Even organizations that do not think explicitly about risks manage risk in some de facto way. So let us begin from the standpoint that risk management is universal. It's just more formal and organized in some situations than in others. An organization has three basic risk management options. One is to have no risk management. The traditional risk management approach is to manage risk in silos, while enterprise risk management takes an integrated enterprise-wide approach to managing risk. To use enterprise risk management, an organization must first clearly define its business objectives and the expected contribution of enterprise risk management to those goals. To implement effective enterprise risk management, all participants in the organization must understand what the organization is trying to achieve and how enterprise risk management will bring it about. COSO says, an entity sets out its mission or vision and establishes strategic objectives, which are the high-level goals that align with and support its vision or mission. An entity establishes a strategy for achieving its strategic objectives. It also sets related objectives it wants to achieve, flowing from the strategy, cascading to business units, divisions, and processes. In setting strategy, management considers risks relative to alternative strategies. Enterprise risk management should not be an isolated exercise, but instead should be integrated into the management of the organization and eventually into its culture. The governance framework is important. Enterprise risk management is built around a purposeful governance framework supported by the most senior levels of the organization and embedded into the day-to-day business operations and decision-makings of the organization. Management at all levels of the enterprise must buy in, but top managers set the tone for the enterprise. For the purposes of enterprise risk management, top management is the board of directors for corporations. For government agencies, it is the management equivalent of the organization's board of directors. Managers own the risks of the enterprise. Responsibility for success at each level of the organization means responsibility for managing risk at that level. For example, agency executives are responsible for the agency's enterprise risk. Program managers own risks to their programs, and project managers are responsible for managing risks to their projects. The managers of government programs and activities should understand and take ownership of risks to achieve program outcomes. This includes considering both inherent or existing risk and the trade-offs of strategic decisions. It is important to be able to distinguish enterprise-level risk from task-level risk in an enterprise. The desired level of enterprise risk might be expressed in a risk appetite as keeping sales growth within the range of -5% to +20%, where -5% represents the largest decline the company could comfortably endure, and +20% represents the largest growth they could support with current facilities. This is the level of risk that top management will concern itself with. Meanwhile, at the operational level of the organization, marketing people are planning advertising campaigns to support sales. Production may be tinkering with the manufacture of the product. The sales force may be redefining sales regions and reassigning personnel, and finance is greasing the skids for all of this work. Each of these enterprise processes is taking on risk in their programs, and although these risks feed directly into the enterprise-level risks, top-level management is not likely to be directly involved in the management of these risks. they are owned by lower levels of management, and the owners of the risk ought to be the ones managing it. The risk management process should be integrated within organizational processes such as strategic planning, budgeting, and performance management. Lower level risks, here called task risks to distinguish them from the enterprise risk, are managed at lower levels. Enterprise risk management should be integrated into key organizational processes so that it governs risk both at the enterprise level and enterprise-wide risks. Organizations that have attempted to manage risks intentionally have traditionally done this in silos or stovepipes. That is, risks are managed in isolation from one another. This can lead to the inconsistent management of risk if the risk manager for marketing is a risk-seeking individual and the production risk manager takes a risk-averse, conservative approach to managing risk. As a result, some risks may be undermanaged and others may be overmanaged. Risk responses chosen by one risk manager may unwittingly create or add to risks to other units within the enterprise. A successful marketing campaign may create a demand the firm cannot meet, resulting in accelerated production at the cost of quality control that could endanger the firm's existence. Silo risk managers often fail to anticipate how certain risks and risk controls may be correlated with other risk events, triggering a cascading series of risk exposures. Silo risk management could, under some circumstances, result in increased rather than reduced risk exposure for the enterprise. Enterprise risk management is an effective organization-wide approach to addressing the full spectrum of the organization's significant risks by considering the combined array of risks as an interrelated portfolio rather than addressing risks only within silos. Enterprise risk management provides an enterprise-wide, strategically aligned portfolio view of organizational challenges that provides improved insight about how to more effectively prioritize and manage risks to mission delivery. The practice of managing risks in silos, informally or on an ad hoc basis, is no longer tolerable and has proven inadequate in today's rapidly evolving business world. People in the organization conclude that it is not their responsibility to coordinate their activities with peers or other groups. With this mindset, people have little interest in understanding their part in the success of the organization as a whole. Thus, finance handles their risks separately from marketing, who handles their risks separately from production, and so on. An integrated, holistic view of risk is replacing the traditional silo view of risk, and a portfolio view of risk has been embraced for risks of all kinds. A number of principles follow from this thinking. They include, first, that portfolio risk is not the simple sum of individual risk elements. Second, to understand portfolio risk, one must understand the individual risks as well as their interactions. Third, the portfolio risks, or risks to the entire organization, are relevant to the key risk decisions facing that organization. The implication of these principles is having a significant impact on the practice of enterprise risk management. There is growing recognition that risks must be managed with the total organization in mind. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is a government agency that provides a good example of silo risk management with its dam safety program, cost risk, risk-informed planning, levee safety programs, project management, each with its separate programs and often its own language for managing risk. These silos of risk management prevent risk management from becoming a strategic concern of the organization. Strategic risks, like reputation risk, can be overlooked by the silos, creating dangerous blind spots. Likewise, risks that cascade from one silo to another can be mismanaged. The volume and complexity of risks affecting an enterprise are increasing. The financial scandals of the new century, 9/11, Hurricane Katrina, the recession that began in 2007, are all shining spotlights on the need for integrated enterprise-wide risk management. More and more, the risks themselves are systemic, not siloed. Organizations are not expected to be able to predict the next 9/11-like event, but they are expected to be proactive and to consider potential responses to events with similar impacts. By contrast, enterprise risk management seeks to strategically consider the interactive effects of various risk events and risk management decisions with the goal of balancing the enterprise's portfolio of risks to be within the enterprise's appetite for risk. Here are 10 critical steps for value-added strategic risk management. First, communicate and share information across business and risk functions as well as externally. Second, break down risk management silos. Third, identify and, where possible, quantify strategic risk in terms of their impact on revenue, earnings, reputation, and shareholder value. Fourth, make strategic risk assessments part of the process of developing strategy, strategic plans, and strategic objectives. Fifth, monitor and measure risk through the organization's performance measurement and management system. Sixth, account for strategic risk and embed it in the strategic plan. Seventh, use a common language of risk throughout your organization. Eighth, make strategic risk management a continual process. 9, develop key indicators to continuously monitor the company's risk profile. And 10, integrate enterprise risk management into the entire management system.